Hello, everyone. So I'm back with my fifth video for this week. So it's the end of my first week of my January challenge. Lovely to see you again. And today's topic that I wanted to talk with you about is common mistakes that people make when applying for a job or changing careers. So I'm privy to a lot of conversations that hiring managers are having in my line of work. And so I quite often hear them lamenting the quality of the applications that are coming through. And so I want to give you the inside scoop on what some of those common complaints are in the hopes that it'll help you avoid them. So one of the top things that can get you thrown into the discard pile very quickly is not having the terminology of the job you're applying for in your CV, resume, or cover letter. So I'm going to use CV or resume interchangeably here. It just depends where you are in the world as to what'll make most sense. But if you are, for example, applying for a role as a blockchain solution architect, and you have nowhere in your CV or cover letter the word blockchain, then the hiring manager is going to be scratching their heads like, did this person even apply for the right role? I don't understand how at all this is an application for this job. Okay, so not using the right terminology is definitely going to get your application in the discard pile. Another thing that you'll want to make sure that you avoid is not submitting a cover letter when it's requested. So even if something is optional on the upload page wherever you're applying, the portal you're applying through, you'll still want to be submitting going above and beyond, because it just leaves the recruiter with the impression like this is somebody who doesn't care about the details. If they're not willing to go above and beyond in the application process, then what does that mean for how they're going to show up on the job? So make sure you read all the instructions and submit everything that's requested, because incomplete applications are also something that will end up in the discard pile. Third thing, kind of along similar lines, common complaint is typos. And I know you might think, well, isn't that kind of pedantic? Just a couple of typos here or there, or spelling mistakes. But the thing is, oftentimes nowadays with hiring managers are faced with looking through dozens, if not hundreds or even thousands of applications for a single role. Okay, so nobody's in that position. They don't have a lot of time to go through in large detail. And if typos are jumping out to them within the seconds that they're looking through your documentation, then it's something that's just going to end up, they have so much choice. That's an easy way for them to just mentally discard your application. So watching out for that is definitely beneficial. The next thing I'd mention is if you submit your CV or cover letter or any of the other documentation that's requested in the wrong file format, that's another no-no. If they ask for PDF, then definitely submit it that way. Otherwise, you can end up with complications with different operating systems. So if they aren't able to open your documentation, that's another way that it's just going to be discarded, not going to make it through to the next round. So watch out for file compatibility and submitting in PDF. Highly recommended. Also, I'd say I often hear people hiring managers complaining about people not being the right cultural fit. So the kind of questions they'll be asking, did this person even read our website? Do they even know who we are? How do they think they're going to survive here? So make sure that you're doing your research. And if you really do think that you're a fit for an organization, then make sure you spell that out. Because if the hiring manager's left scratching their heads wondering, why did this person apply for this role? It's not not good for making it through to the next round. Now, I'll be the first to say, so those are some of the mistakes that I hear people complaining about. Now, I will be the first person to encourage you to throw your hat in the ring. If there's a role that interests you, the only way that you are guaranteed not to get it is if you don't apply for it. So absolutely, I'm a big fan of just going for it. That said, you don't apply for a job every day, right? This is a special event, and as such, it's a big deal and deserves preparation time. So definitely set aside the time to invest in doing your research up front, making sure you prepare your documentation meticulously. It's an investment in your future. So in terms of research, I just want to say a couple of things there. Read through the job description. The terminology they're using in the job description, mirror that in your CV or and cover letter. If you can, find out who the hiring manager is through research on LinkedIn, or if it's listed in the job description or whatever it might be, then go ahead and address your correspondence directly to that person. That's a really nice personal touch if you can find that out. It'll also give you a heads up of who might be potentially interviewing you, so that's also a good thing to be able to do. Go to the organization's website, look up what are their corporate values, how do they talk about their company. If they're talking about themselves as a work hard, play hard kind of environment where proactivity and scrappiness and this kind of stuff is valued, and you're coming along saying that you're the stable, reliable person who's looking for work-life balance, then that's not necessarily going to resonate with them. Okay, so making sure you're doing that research up front is important. Figuring out what they value and making sure that you're a match. Obviously, in terms of tailoring your CV and cover letter, make sure there are no typos, no spelling errors, and so forth. And I understand not everybody's a native speaker of a language. That's absolutely fine. Get somebody else to review your documentation. Just get a second set of eyes on it. You can even pay people, to write your CV for you. I do your research beforehand to make sure the person is qualified and has gotten good results for other people. There's a difference between writing a CV and writing a CV that gets results. But those services are absolutely out there and available, and maybe worth the investment, considering the fact that the importance of a job to one's livelihood. I'd also emphasize the point of a CV or a resume is to get you an interview. Like that document needs to get you your foot in the door. So it's worth polishing to the best of your ability, just to make sure it ends up on the pile, at least on the maybe pile, if not the definite yes pile, right? So including the right keywords, making sure it's polished, there are no typos, it's in the right format, it's, if possible, addressed to the right person. This is just going to help you position yourself well. Also, from the standpoint, if all things go well, you want to be positioned to get negotiate a premium salary at the end of this process, right? So every little bit of effort you can put in at the beginning is going to be well worth it. If you can position yourself as their premium dream candidate at the end, it's going to make negotiating the salary you want much easier. So even if some of those things sound nitpicky to begin with, I think it's definitely worth the investment. So I hope you found those tips useful. This brings me to the end of my first week of my New Year's challenge to be doing these impromptu live videos for you, 5 a week for the entire month of January. So that's the end of week 1 for me. If you have any questions, any ideas for future videos, feel free to drop them in the comments. I will be checking and would love to hear from you. Otherwise, I'll see you back here next week. Bye-bye.